Songwriters Room.
Welcome, everybody.
We're back. It's Friday. I'm John. This is Scott.
Hello.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool to have friends and co-writers come out and hang with us on a Friday night on the couch. Yeah. That's in our advertisement. If you've seen our advertisements out there, so we get to hang on the couch, and it's really nice just to sort of banter, talk about life and music and everything. Whatever else we come up with. We've talked about things that'll kill you in Australia with some Australian friends and all kind of crazy things. So you never know what we're going to get into tonight.
There are a lot of things that kill you in Canada.
Bears.
There's bears, cougars.
Brittany's afraid of bears.
Yeah.
Turkeys. She gets chased by turkeys.
Yeah,
They
don't
don't
kill
You have killer turkeys.
No.
They
Well,
don't
they
kill
could be.
I got attacked. We do have a lot of attacks.
So
Wild
How little you are.
Yeah, you could get killed with kindness too. People in
yeah.
Canada are really
Weird.
nice, right?
Can you
for
get
the most
killed with
part.
quietness?
quietness.
Because Canadians are pretty quiet.
I hear it gets cold in some of the parts, like pretty
Yeah,
cold.
you
Yeah,
could
everywhere.
yeah, that's true.
Die of
So,
hypothermia.
yeah. So
Kind,
that'll get you.
kind silence in the cold.
That's going to be every week. We'll
like a
talk
bad
about
way to
what will
go.
kill you where you're from. We'll talk about that. But by the way, these are the heels for everybody. Yes.
Everybody.
Yep. Kyla, Bobby, and Brittany. And of course, Danny J,
Yes.
who moved here recently
Very
from the
recently,
Chicago area.
2 months ago.
2 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fresh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very.
What's your initial impression of Nashville?
Oh man. I mean, I've been here before. We
Yeah.
my music partner and I were coming down here in 2017, 2018. So we like kind of knew Broadway and all the craziness and Berry Hill, a little bit of Midtown, which is where I'm at. I like it because I've been in the burbs for the past 8 years. In like around Chicago, and then before that LA, which is like one big suburb. As we
One big
Yeah.
suburb.
It's pretty sprawling.
Yeah,
It's very
sprawling.
sprawling. Yes.
So you're
this
like
is
in the
like-
action now.
I look out my window, I see like a bar, I see homeless guys. I'm like, I'm in the city.
Well,
Awesome, you know.
Getting a
and
real Nashville
it's kind of
experience. yeah.
loud. There's guys driving their trucks too fast and too loud, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I
You're
like
right.
the
this,
life.
you know? But yeah, I have stores, bars, restaurants, everything by me, so it's
What part of town is that?
Midtown. just
In
right
Midtown.
over
Oh
there.
yeah. That's a good place to be.
It's fun. Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
all. That's
What are
awesome.
some of your favorite music spots so far?
I've been to the Commodore,
Oh.
the Local, and I think Live Oak.
Those are great
I
spots.
feel like I went to Live Oak like a while ago. I want to say they moved like a few doors down.
Yeah,
on
they
London.
moved a couple
Now there are
times.
2 floors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Okay.
expanded.
Yeah, and like I avoid Broadway and all the, all the country singer bars. And like it's too crazy for me now that I'm a local now. I'm like, I stay away from
Gotta
that.
make
Yeah, like we did all that.
Okay.
But
All right.
if you gotta go, you gotta go. But yeah, those places are cool. Other than that, like I'm a little bit more of a homebody, and you have to you gotta get me out of my shell. Like there has to be a good reason for me to leave, But that's
Well, we got you
comes
out
with
here.
age. But yeah,
Yeah,
this is
here.
a good reason.
Like
to
Nashville.
Nashville's full of fun stuff to
Totally.
do.
Oh, yeah.
So
There's
it's
a ton.
Always something
Yes.
happening.
Good food too.
yeah.
Yeah, it's getting
Barbecue.
better. It's getting better. I've been here probably longer than everybody here, and the food it needed help when I first moved here, and they were saying how late they're very proud of their barbecue, which is good. It's just good. So I don't want anybody to get upset.
We
here in
want
Nashville.
barbecue sponsors, actually.
Yeah, that would
We
be
really
awesome.
would
Yeah,
love-
Martin's in particular.
Martin's,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've really upped their game. But when I came here, it was Southern Town, meat and threes, and everything was sort of like buffet style. And so it was like, okay, but it felt like you're eating in a cafeteria most places. and it was so Southern. It was so Southern. So I wanted that experience. I wanted to do the meat and three thing. And so I did that, but then I was like, it's okay. And so, but now that it's become a major city, we have Michelin star chefs that have open restaurants. So now we're really finding, y'all are coming here at a good time.
Yes.
I held the fort on the mediocre food all these years for all of you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I got us through to this point. And so, but they've really stepped up their game. So now you're right. The food, it's not quite Chicago. Some of the places there, because that's one of the things. Like the three of us have been living in Illinois at some point in time in our lives. I lived in northern Chicago, and you lived, what part of Chicago was it?
Well, Evanston, for
Oh,
those
Evanston.
of you guys who,
Okay, so
yeah.
we're from the same area. Well, okay, we live in the same
For
area.
those of you who don't know Chicago,
Yeah, northern
it's an
Chicago.
extension of Chicago.
North
North
Chicago.
Exactly.
Right, it's like the first little town.
Not really a burb, but it is.
Yeah, kinda,
but it's-
sorta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's a
in the
line.
middle. It's a city.
Yes, yep. And so, but the food is almost getting to that point.
Okay.
Like great, like the amazing Michelin star, four stars, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good time to be in Nashville for everything at this point. That's my whole meandering point at this point.
What do y'all think of the food here?
Yeah, I mean, we when we go
We're
out,
the wrong people to ask.
when we
cook
go
at
out, we
home.
usually go for Mexican.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
love
a lot of
bar
Mexican
We
taco.
like
there earlier.
guacamole.
Yes, we go to bar and taco. margaritas.
Yes.
We used to love Taco Mamacita,
Mhm.
and it was the one that was just off of Music Row, and we'd always go
Mhm.
there after
Oh, it was
rights.
so
And then they
good.
took that away.
Yeah.
So there's something else that was like a Mediterranean place
And we
there.
eat
haven't
in
tried
Puckets.
that yet.
Puckets, we
Yes.
we frequent Puckets.
Yeah,
We
Yes.
Puckets
play
is
there
good.
a
play
lot.
Yeah,
there.
play there a lot.
Anywhere
So-
that wants to give us a free
Yep.
meal, we
Yeah.
enjoy that place.
Grays on
Um,
Main is really good.
Yes,
We
we
play
play
there
there
as
too.
well. And eat
So,
there.
and then we
It's
just
delicious.
usually eat at home a lot, just because then we can all, cook what we want, and we're usually
all very
getting ready to go out.
Yeah, we have like
Play a
shows at
show.
night, so
Yeah,
like
we
girls
basically
take a
write
long
in the
time to get
morning.
ready.
Then we will record or make content in the afternoon, and then we get ready and we go out and play shows at night.
We
or
cook real
rounds.
fast.
Is that like a Monday through Friday kind of routine?
No,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
Sunday.
Every day.
Yeah,
Every
well,
day.
Sunday
Some
we
days-
usually are like doing all the admin stuff and
Yeah.
and content
Or going to
and,
church.
yeah,
But
or
we
just
haven't-
like practicing new songs, and
Yeah.
we always have this huge list of stuff to do, and then sometimes we just melt into the couch
Yeah.
and do laundry.
But there is a new Mexican restaurant that opened down the street from
Yes,
us.
we're really excited
What's it
about
called?
that.
We're
It
in the
hasn't opened yet.
nations.
It's opening in like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Hasn't opened yet.
No.
Yeah,
But we
but
probably
they're-
will frequent that.
So what's
like
it
in
called?
walking
What's the name of
distance.
it?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Don't know.
Do they have a
It's not
sign up
called, I'm
yet?
not
There's
sure.
no
It's called-
sign.
Oh.
We
Okay.
literally like
What did
stopped
you
them
see,
as
like,
they were
colorful
moving in.
things?
Like no, they were moving in, and
Okay.
it was
Okay.
kind of under construction, and we were leaving the bagel place, the Benji's Bagels. So
That's also
Benji's
That's a
popular.
great
Bagels.
place.
Yes.
Very
I've heard of
popular.
That
that
place,
place,
yeah.
there's lineups around the
What-
whole building on weekends.
Wow.
Don't
Yeah.
go on the weekend.
Well, what makes
Yeah.
it so amazing for
Well,
bagels?
it's a family-run business, and they make them all fresh there that day, and then they make all their own spreads, and
Mhm.
they have really good bakery and
Stacked bagels.
like
Stacked?
Wait, what's
so
a stack-
many
what's a
back
stack
bagels.
bagel?
That big.
Yeah,
like
You mean
so
it's
many
like
different
multiple-
prosciutto. Oh, like sandwiches.
Just
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it like 3 bagels in one?
arugula, you know, all
Yeah.
different toppings that
It's a
you can add
Whopper.
in there, and so.
So a
Yeah,
stacked
yeah.
bagel for we had like 2 conversations going
We
on
did,
there at the
we
same
did.
time. We're trying to get better at that. but so stacked bagel apparently is like it's like a monster bagel
Oh,
sandwich.
Stacked,
right?
yeah.
and there's
a
like
lot in
so many different kinds. Like it's overwhelming the first time you go there because you want to try like everything.
Yes.
What have you tried and what do you like? That's the question. What's your favorite thing?
Mm.
Oh, we have been home for a couple months, so we just got back here. Like we were back in Canada, and we just got back here. So I'm like trying to remember now. I know my daughter likes the one with the berry spread and the salt bagel.
Okay.
That's an
good.
interesting combination.
It's good. It's got the
Salt.
sweet and salty. It's the
Wow.
sweet and salty.
Yes.
Or yeah, sweet and salty.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of really.
There's a
good
lot of options, but because the lineup's so long, it gives you that extra pressure that you need to decide.
ones. Like you cannot take
You
long.
What do you
know?
want?
That's funny.
It's like no
Yeah,
soup
but-
for you.
Yeah, but go during the week if
Yeah.
you can.
We
Or
make
early.
we've coined the term beauty bowls because we make beauty bowls every day, and they're like these massive salads of superfoods. So that's what we.
So it's like an acai bowl, but like
Well, with-
different.
No, for dinner.
Oh, okay,
dinner
okay.
bowls,
Beauty
cooked
bowls.
veggies,
Beauty
No
bowls.
fruit.
raw veggies, like any kind of proteins that we want,
Yeah.
seeds, nuts.
It's to the
Sounds
point where you
good.
cannot like actually eat it because it's so
You
big.
go to dig in and things start falling.
Yeah,
So,
so that's what we
yeah.
do.
I thought you were going to say because it's too pretty, because it's a beauty
Well, that
bowl. Why would you
too.
mess that up? It's,
No, that's
it's
Yeah.
like a
No,
work
the
of art.
colorful.
The beauty's for us while we,
Yeah.
you know, it's healing us inside and making us beautiful on the outside.
So when is the restaurant opening?
Well, she has two.
That's true.
Oh,
You own 2 restaurants?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm not opening another one, but I
You,
might.
you
In
own,
Canada.
So you
Okay,
you own
alright.
2 restaurants.
I do.
Well, I'm learning a lot very fast. Things we didn't talk about
I
before.
had a food truck bus that was a double-decker bus, but
Yes.
during COVID we had to sell it, and I had a huge commissary kitchen. Anyways, there was massive expansion happening, and then
Wow.
But that's where we met. Was at Kyla's restaurant.
No
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah.
Is
And
this
I
up
that's cool.
north?
yeah, in Vancouver.
That's interesting.
So I
okay.
decided to, the restaurants are still happening, just not expanding. And then I decided to take this much more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Brittany was the
Awesome.
barista at
Yes, I
the
worked there.
cafe, and
Okay.
Kyla would always be, on her laptop, lady bossing it down at the. I could always say hi to her, and I was the customer, and I managed a makeup store in the
awesome.
neighborhood, and so I would come in every day on my lunch break and say hi to them, and I was always
We
in
knew
my
her
high
order
heels.
as soon as she
Yeah,
walked in the
and I
door. We're
would,
like,
"Hello!"
hey, get the smoothie ready.
Actually, you used to call in your order. I remember. I take it all the time. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
and then it was just kind of one of those things where people. So we all sang in different capacities ourselves, different genres with different people, and then we had some like mutual friend customers that would tell us, "You guys should sing together." So
And then you used to sell me my makeup for my shows.
Mhm.
She worked right around the corner.
Mhm.
I told her she's too beautiful and talented to be selling me makeup. So that was.
And the crazy thing
it
was,
worked.
I worked with this woman who would always, like, anytime somebody would say, she'd always, "Do you ever have friends that would sing for them, like, and in random times?"
Yeah.
And
No.
you're like, "I don't want
Don't
to."
put me on the spot.
Yes. Okay, so love her because it changed my life, but she would always be telling people that I was a singer and then sing for them, and I was trying to downplay it, and she ended up getting this book from her mom that was called The Year of Yes, and it was about how you could say yes to every opportunity that presents itself, and your life will dramatically change.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I agree with that. I agree.
as a fun thing,
Aside
I said,
from nudity, we don't. see
yes.
that.
So I said, "Okay, I'll do
Everything.
that."
Or crack.
Yeah,
No crack
exactly. No
either.
crack.
No yes to
Do
crack.
those
You know,
drugs.
some
Here, give me.
people,
Yeah, no drugs and porn. Okay. Gotta draw the line somewhere. All right.
A couple things.
But basically, I said I would do
Everything
that
else.
with her, and then the very next day, Kyla sent me a text message saying, "Do you
Yeah.
want to be in a trio with me and Brittany?" And that
Yes.
friend who would always try to make me sing for the customers said, "You got to say yes. We're doing our Year of Yes." And I thought, this is a really big commitment. I hardly
Yeah.
have time to do anything other than work at this store, but I always wanted to get back into music, and that was what I loved about what I did at the time, was working with other women. And so I went to meet with them. I kind of thought I would talk Brittany's. So Brittany, her sister, used to be in the Heels, and I thought I would go there and I would talk to her and say, "Don't leave."
We were too serious. Like, we took it very serious, and it was like a lot of rehearsals and a lot of shows, and yeah,
She was younger.
it
She
was-
had
She was younger than
traveling
us.
to do.
She wanted to go to school
Yeah.
and stuff.
and I understand that, but
Yeah.
Is
you
she
know,
still in music, your sister?
No,
She
just-
did release a
Sound
single.
complete?
She
Yeah,
writes for
she
us.
does it as a hobby.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
hobby? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
She
But
does
she's
her
a
hair and
hairdresser
she does her
now.
hair.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long ago was this?
8 years ago.
We've
8
been
and a half
together
years ago.
That's when
officially
you guys
10
started.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been together, 10
10
years,
years.
and then Bobby joined 2 years later.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we used to rehearse
2016,
in my
so yeah, 9
Cheap
years.
rehearsal hall was my restaurants, so we
Okay.
would rehearse there every night, and
But I went and we sang together. And it just sounded like a really good blend.
yes.
And they're like, "Okay, do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Okay." And they're like, "We have a show in 6 days. Here's the song."
Oh, all right. All right.
And they weren't
Back to
they weren't
business.
covers.
No,
They weren't our
original
songs we had written.
songs. Yes.
We
Wow.
had like,
Everybody
all these
takes
harmony
different
parts.
parts. It's very
Awesome.
fair.
And
Yeah.
Bobby had never harmonized.
No.
She was always a lead singer.
I just sang
so-
melody.
Wow.
So I thought, well, I could sing and you guys could harmonize with me. Like, no. This verse, you will be low harmony.
We're very fair.
And then you will jump over here to this. And I just remember thinking, wow.
What have I got
Okay.
myself into?
Maybe I should have said no.
Yeah, I was working a full-time job, but
Yes,
yeah,
but-
I learned them and it was
Yeah.
so much fun that first show.
And the crazy thing is, my restaurant's on First Street, and then the first actual show we had, I was picking everybody up, and we all lived on the same street on
Yes,
First Street.
that was another weird thing.
Whoa.
So a
Okay.
block from each other.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's like the
And you didn't know.
No, we
No,
had
before
no,
that.
no,
no
We had
clue.
no
Like,
idea that we
Kyla
all
and I
lived
knew
so
where each other
close.
lived, but then Bobby was also on the same street, so it was just like
That's great.
it was just weird.
Canada's not
Interesting.
that small though.
That's
You know,
strange.
it's not
Yeah.
it's
It is
that
strange.
common.
No,
So yeah,
We're
it just
li-
kind
we
of
lived
brought
in
us
kind
together.
of a bigger city in
Yeah.
Canada.
Now I do have to ask, if you were on the same street, could you hear Kyla yodeling at all?
No, I didn't
I
know
used
you
to
go.
practice till 3
Yodeling?
a.m. and I would be very
Oh my
loud when the
God.
police came. My rehearsal
Love
hall,
to be
like
your
I used to
neighbor.
have my drums in the back of my, like where my kitchen was before we were really busy at my restaurants. My drums were in the kitchen with my piano, and I used to rehearse with a full drum, like a full band, till 3 in the morning. And then the cops came a few times, and then my business partner was like, "We can't do this. We don't look very professional."
That is
So
funny.
it turned into a kitchen.
The reason I asked about the yodeling was that Kelsey Parker asked, where she said,
Oh yes.
Kyla can yodel,
Yes.
so didn't know that.
Is this,
You learn
is
new
this something
things.
you started out doing? I mean,
well-
how did you fall into yodeling of all things?
Actually, there's a movie called Big Business, and I used to be really obsessed with Bette Midler. And she would do this riff in the movie, and I would listen to it, rewind, listen to it over and over again, and learn it to the T. And so I just added that to the set.
It's fun. It's very country. But when I met you, you were doing jazz and
Yeah, I was in a jazz trio.
And
I had a
you've done
rock band.
Yeah,
Nice.
she
I was
shaved her
musical.
head. And
I did
Wow.
opera. I started doing country, and then it was fused into opera.
She does
and-
amazing opera.
Opera.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Very-
All over the map.
Very versatile.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Musically.
Kind of like how I live. I just live everywhere.
yeah, she's moved a lot. She's had a lot of different jobs. She
Yeah.
likes to keep things fresh.
I know it's true. It's true.
And what again? You've told me before, and but so what town, what area again was this?
North Vancouver.
North Vancouver. We talked about
Kind
that
of
earlier.
feels like an island, but it's not. Like you have to take a sea bus from Vancouver or drive
bridge.
over two bridges.
Yeah,
A
but you face.
CSEA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bus.
So,
So
is a
you
sea
face
bus the same as a
Vancouver.
ferry, or
It's
like?
really
It
small.
is, but
It's
it's
just
small.
passenger.
Oh,
Like
okay, okay.
walking.
Yeah, like a little
Walk on.
passenger boat. You can bring your bike.
Now the things that are
Okay.
kind of crazy about that is, aren't there like big giant whales in the water?
Oh,
over
yeah.
there?
Yeah, what do you have
Like,
there?
But
That's,
well, they're
But they
they
don't
don't
just
take
walk
you
in.
in the bus.
No, no, no.
Iceberg.
You're safe.
big.
though. I mean, when I went out there, like they took us out and not too far from there, and we saw like yeah, dude, whale watching, they jump out and all that stuff. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. You
It's,
realize
it's
how
not
big
that
they
common. It's like if there is whales in the inlet that we go across with the sea bus, it's like it makes the news. Like it's
Oh,
a,
yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
big
big
Oh,
deal.
Okay.
wow.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's not
It's
a
not
very
common.
Did you hear the?
I know.
No.
Last week there were dolphins,
Oh.
Nice.
so you
Yeah.
never know what you're gonna get in Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Igloos.
didn't know they had
all this
dolphins
stuff.
up there.
And
Hockey
it's,
players.
they're
Hockey
getting more
players.
common, and some sharks. I think because it's getting a little warmer.
Oh, okay. Sharks too. Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah. Another thing that can kill you.
Yes.
I mean, you go out
Add to the
kayaking, right? You go out
list.
kayaking
Yeah.
into the. Do you do that in the ocean too, or is
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
freshwater?
Oh, no.
Ocean too.
I have
And what
two-
is
my
what's the
husband has
body
two
of
ocean
water
kayaks,
there?
so
What
we-
is it? I don't
Georgia
know.
Strait,
Georgia
Like-
Strait. Is that and that feeds west or east?
West.
west. Yeah.
Okay, toward the Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay. My apologies for being so naive.
That's
No.
okay.
That's why I'm asking, because I
No.
want to
We're
know.
American. We don't know.
Yeah, well,
that's
I mean, I
fine.
know outside the United States we have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on. it's a thing. It's
What
a
else is
shame.
out there?
It's really a shame that there's the rest of the world really outside of the
Well,
United
it's
States.
beautiful. It really
Yeah, it
is.
is really nice.
Yeah, the mountains, the
And it's
forests.
not cold all the time.
No.
We get hot summers.
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mhm.
See, these are good things too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, we were talking earlier. My only experience in Canada, I think I was 5 when we went there. And all I remember are Mounties. That's it, because I remember the red.
Mm.
Like, that's it. That stood out in my.
Where
Where did you
I
go?
don't know. I was 5. I
Okay.
have no idea. That's the thing.
Think
I,
back.
You just have a one image of a
just
Mountie.
Mounties. That's it. That's all I got. I have to go back. So I want to come back and visit again.
Come and see us.
Yeah, I finally
Whenever we're
re-upped
there.
my passport and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'd like to come up there because my wife's father's from Winnipeg, so that's where he was born and raised, and he's bilingual,
Mhm.
French and English. It's really interesting because he met my wife's mother in America. He went to college in Milwaukee, and so a university called Marquette.
Mhm.
That's where he went. And so, and he decided to stay after college for a while, and in that area, and he had married another woman, divorced, and then met my wife's mother, and he decided he's going to stay in America for the rest of his life, but his mother, who was French speaking, made him promise he would never be an American citizen.
Oh.
So he has to re-up
What?
his visa.
Oh,
Every few
You
years.
just did that. That's
That's
a
not
lot of
fun.
work.
That's
Yep,
crazy.
and so I don't know how he's done it for like 50 years or whatever it is, 40 years.
That's,
But
Wow.
somehow he's figured it out.
he's probably really quick at it now.
He must be, yeah. He's really fast because he's like, I went and I got re-upped again. I'm like,
Yeah.
just left like 3 hours ago. What'd you do? And so I don't know how that process works, but he chose to stay here and never
Yeah.
got a dual citizenship, nothing.
Wow.
So he's still a citizen of Canada to this day, and so it's really interesting.
That's very interesting.
And so it was funny when when I got engaged to Aaron, I called him on the phone. I was all nervous, and he punked me. It was really funny. He was really giving me a hard time. He's a very funny man, and he was in broadcasting, so he's got that voice, you know. And you're like afraid, immediately scared as soon as you say hello. And you're like, I'm afraid of you. And so, but he's a very very cool dude. I forgot my point. I had a very good point about
the visa.
The visa, yes.
American
So
citizen.
somehow I don't know what he's done. So how? Now you all have a visa, right? Did you get a work visa? I understand
did.
there are like lots of different kinds.
Yeah,
There's
it's a performance work visa.
Yeah.
performance work, so you get to make money.
Yes.
Yes.
Only by performing.
How hard was that to get?
Well,
Not, I mean,
Brittany
we
does
just
the paperwork
did
for
it
that.
the
so.
way that they wanted us to, and
Yeah. So
And
you
you
have
got
to
in?
have a
It's-
venue to sponsor you,
Okay.
for our
or
visa,
yeah, for the performance one, or
or contracts.
you can have a number of contracts. I think now it's around 8. They have to be spread out throughout the year.
minimum.
So the reason why, if any artists are watching, the reason why it's easier to have a venue sponsor you is because how can you really commit to say 8 gigs the following year when you actually aren't legally allowed to work in the country?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the chicken before the egg
yeah,
feeling.
if you have a
And
relationship with a
Yeah.
venue.
yeah, so we
We'll
found
book
a
you.
relationships
yeah,
for sure.
so we found a venue that just loved having us, and they agreed that we could come every. I think it's 60 days now, but it used to be 45.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something
60
Yeah.
days.
So, anyways,
What's
it's
the
it's
venue?
not-
Is it in Nashville or no?
Crossville.
Crossville,
Oh,
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we just went through this whole process, and we actually had to go back to Canada. Bobby and I got here in January,
Yeah.
and then we ended up having to go back.
I was on the plane
Brittany's
almost.
Brittany
bag
was
was on
literally
the
on the
plane.
plane.
Yeah, they had to like pull my bags. It was a whole ordeal.
Because the fires in California delayed the approval.
Yeah.
That's
So-
where the
Wow.
office is.
Yeah.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
So
then
it's either California or Vermont.
and you must be in
Really?
the country when you renew.
If,
Yeah.
We learned that lesson.
if you, yeah.
Anyways, we're learning all these
That's
things.
There's a lot of
It's
different
part
ways.
of being an artist,
Anyways,
right?
give yourself
I
a
know.
lot
Yeah.
of time, and it's not hard. It's just
No.
costly. You have to have money
Yes.
to like
Yeah.
saved, put aside for it.
Yeah.
But that's really the biggest thing, and then give yourself enough time because otherwise you'll run out of time. Like
We found out
Yes.
it was 10 months for approval.
Well,
After the fire.
yeah,
Yes, it
it depends.
ranges.
Wow.
But if you just give
Okay.
yourself as much time as you possibly
But
can.
we're here
Our other
now.
ones that we've had that
That's all
they've
that
gone
matters.
through so quickly. So like
yeah.
like with way less time than they predicted. So we expected that again, but it didn't happen that way.
And
Yeah.
now we're going to go for that 3-year one that you were
Mhm.
talking about.
Yes, I was wondering how long you get to stay this
Just a
time.
year.
That's
Just a year.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's
But
a
before we
pretty
got
good run.
that, we used to do. There's other visas for coming down to write
Yeah.
and play free
Yeah,
shows.
there's so many
Free
different
shows.
kinds.
Yeah, so we
Mhm.
used to do that.
But we are legal. We're legally allowed to be
Yes.
here.
Yay! Wow.
That's
We're not
right.
gonna let them take you. Don't
You
worry.
guys can't get like a normal job.
No.
It has to be
No.
No,
performance
it's-
based.
No.
Yeah.
But
That's
it
why we
really
play
has
shows
helped
every day.
us.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
It
forced
keeps us
us
so
to-
focused.
Yes.
That's
because
tough, but
that's
yeah.
the only way we can pay for our rent, our car rental, our
Yeah.
groceries.
Yeah.
Is that why you play out so much? Like
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
Yes.
almost
I
every
mean,
night, right?
we want
Yeah.
to
Like you
anyways,
said.
but if we didn't have to, we might not play as often as we do. And it's
Mhm.
definitely, it's like we've gotten so much tighter as a unit. Like
Mhm.
it's benefited us so much
Oh,
to,
yeah.
to hold us accountable to playing that much. So it's
Yeah.
good. Up in Canada, we all live like 10 hours away from each other, more or less.
Yeah.
Like
rehearse
there's
via
ferries
Zoom.
and
Wow.
long
Can you
drives
do
and
that?
stuff. So no, we cannot rehearse unless we're together. So it's
You have to
it's
show
a
up and know your
different-
parts.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different situation.
Now we
actually.
live in the same house, like
Yeah.
8
bedrooms
seconds away.
side by side.
And we
That's
still
great.
get
Y'all
along.
must get along
We
really
do.
well,
We
which is great. Like you
Yeah.
have to,
Yes.
right? You're living together and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff.
There's
Yeah.
And that's
husbands, babies, also,
Yes,
right?
Brittany's
Yes.
The whole thing.
husband
Yeah.
and babies.
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
She was
like
just
a-
eating ice cream
Gotta be
under
a
my
big
arm
house.
20 minutes ago.
Well, I think what you're doing is a real inspiration to anybody who's tuning in because you're really like making a habit out of like doing what it is that you want to be doing.
Totally.
You're writing every day,
Yes.
you're practicing, and you're getting out there, and you're not just like writing the songs, you're
Yeah.
going out there and testing them in front of people. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're recording stuff as well. and-
in the middle chunk of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And we add harmonies to other people's albums as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's interesting because you all have the trio, but then you're all separate artists.
Well, to get
Kinda,
we don't
sorta.
really have time to do that,
Yeah.
but sometimes we jump in the studio and
Yeah,
do harmonies
like
for other
sometimes we'll add
bands.
harmonies onto someone else's
Yeah.
songs,
Or
or we'll do
maybe
it all together.
Join
Yeah.
a songwrite
Yeah, our songwriters
apart from the group,
Yeah.
like for another artist.
Yeah.
But we were solo artists when we started this, and then when
Yeah.
we joined together, we thought let's just focus only on
Yeah.
this. So, but we still like to make sure that it's not 3 voices singing together the entire time. So we like to feature each voice.
Yeah.
and
Because we're
have-
fair, you see.
Yes, that's why we can live together.
That's
Very
why.
considerate.
Yes. Yes, we talk a lot to each other.
Okay, I have because Kelsey Parker is really showing up in the chat. I want to.
All right, Kelsey. Yeah.
Hi,
The heels-
Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey.
Yeah.
The Heels are awesome. I'm having a blast staying in touch with them.
Aw.
Even Canada people can love country music, especially the Heels.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
So,
a lot of country.
Kelsey
music.
has been following us for a while, and Kelsey, you're also a singer too, and she
Yes.
tells us it's a
Is she?
dream of hers to
Yeah.
come to Nashville, and so we message fairly often.
Awesome.
Well, there you go. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's a great inspiration to
Yes.
artists out there trying
Totally.
to make it. This past year, I wrote letters on behalf of a couple of international artists from Australia, because I've been working with a lot of folks from Australia the past couple years, and so I had to go through that process.
Yeah, I
And
was
I-
going to ask you for one. I might still message you for one.
Well, I happen to
next
be in
year.
that business.
2026.
I've got a little
$1,000
experience in it now, because I had to fill a couple of those
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
and so one was here, and now she's back in Australia for a mini tour, but she's coming back. She finally
Nice.
got an extended visa, same
Yeah.
thing, performance visa.
Yeah.
So she now gets to play and make money. And the other one, I think, will be here in a couple weeks.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it was really nice to be able to help them to go through that process. Again, I'm not a sponsor,
Yeah.
but they just needed some professionals to say, yes, we need them here to work and
Yeah.
do these projects.
part
We're in
of
the
it.
middle of a project, which is true. It's all true, because
Yeah.
I'm working on their albums with them. So,
Mhm.
and I'm a publisher here in Nashville. So it kind of worked out that somebody who's has a business here was able to speak on their
Oh, for
behalf,
sure.
and I was one of a group of people, but it worked.
Yeah. That's what I was actually
Yeah.
going to say. For us being in Nashville, the reason why we took that huge jump was to build the relationships. There's nothing like meeting people that are actually doing what you're doing, and we were talking about this last night, and it just like brings us to tears to be surrounded by our people. Like I finally feel like I found my people, and so if you are an artist, that's the first thing I would recommend is to come to Nashville and just talk to people and just smile, just meet people and be friendly, and you don't know where that is going to lead. Like you just can't predict those kind of things. So
and there's so many people here. There's a lot of us. There's
And even
A
more
lot.
than country music now.
Yeah,
Like
it
I've
is.
noticed there's so much.
all genres, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
sync, there's
Yeah.
pop, there's
Yeah.
everything. Are you
Yeah.
doing pop? You're doing pop country.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Country
In the pop world.
in the country.
Country.
There you go.
I never heard that before.
you were
Neither have I.
saying you were in a duo at one point. Did you say that earlier? You had a music partner?
Yeah. Like when we first started out in LA, we were in a duo, and
What was
then
that called?
it became the trio Chi-Town.
Ooh,
Oh.
I haven't gotten the
Cool.
heels tattooed
Yeah,
yet.
you should.
Nice.
Was that
How
favorite
serious are you?
I mean,
That's
well, I'm
great.
I have
Every
to cover
tattoo.
this up. So I might cover
Why'd you
yours.
cover it up?
Oh, don't talk
It's
about
not-
that now. It's getting. I've gone.
Why not?
What was
talk
his
No,
about
name?
it?
no. It's been removed 4 times. So, but
Is-
that's
was-
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's old.
Are we allowed to ask this
Yeah,
story?
come on. That's
No.
probably a good story.
Oh, it's a breakup story.
Well, I mean, we got time.
Well, okay. I found out my ex was cheating,
Oh.
and I was like very distraught. And you know those rash decisions you make, you don't think. I was reading a magazine, like a healing one, and it said "Doing reveals being," and I wasn't doing anything. I was in my room crying, so I was like, "Well, I'm gonna put that on my skin." So I went to the tattoo artist, and I was like, he was giving me moonshine, and I'd
God.
never had moonshine. It was delicious. It was taking the pain away, and I said, "Just do whatever you want." And he did that, and he made it like a sailor tattoo.
All right, so,
And
so
I looked down, and it was like this. It was very dark.
moonshine plus do whatever you want.
Yes,
That
Great
seems like a
combination.
very bad
Combination.
combination.
And
Did you
in
take it in
a-
the magazine?
I
Tattoo
did.
parlor.
And I said, "This is the reason." He's like, "What does that even mean? That's kind of weird." I told him. And the day, but like right before that, I had shaved off my head, like all my hair.
Britney Spears
I shaved
style.
my hair. I didn't shave my head off. No. That would
That'd be
bad.
impressive
That
if
would
you
be
figured
bad.
out how to put it back on.
No, that was the
Back-
moonshine.
Very impressive.
No, I shaved my head, and it was just bad. When there's something about having a breakup where you take a day to react. You know, just don't do anything rash.
Yeah.
Was that
Like
in the
that.
first 24 hours that happened?
That was like 8 hours later.
Oh wow!
Yeah, don't
That
chug
was really
moonshine right after a breakup
Yes.
And get a
Yeah,
tattoo.
yeah,
and jump into a
Shave your head.
tattoo parlor.
I feel like
Aren't they
most places
supposed
don't
to?
even allow
Shave
you.
your head
to
Yeah,
off.
they're not even supposed to allow you to get a tattoo.
You're not
if
supposed to be drunk.
No,
if
drunk.
you're not supposed to, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I,
yeah.
so that's
does.
what happened. That's a great
So, yeah,
idea.
so
I
they
might
shut
get the
down. Yeah,
heels
that's cool.
covered. Would that be weird? Would you guys?
We did heal you from your breakup.
Yes.
stuff.
There you go.
That's actually
Oh,
why-
healed. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why-
Yeah, the heels.
That's why we're
Yeah.
called the heels.
That actually is
That's
the
cool.
reason.
Really?
Not
Yeah.
because of your breakup, but
So-
because of
so
healing.
Our first name
Oh,
was
that's
the
so
Hooded
cool.
Heels.
Oh yeah, we don't go there anymore. we don't talk about that one anymore.
We don't?
I don't know. It's
That's
so
okay.
embarrassing.
That's okay. I want to.
Wait, did you all like
My
walk out
mind
on the
went in a
stage
bad
and like
place.
This is
I
great.
robes?
was
Bobby's like,
Yes.
don't look at me. I'm
No,
not
don't
there.
include
We're
me
on
in
the
this
couch.
story.
This couch is the truth couch.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got rid of Hooded. That-
Yeah,
Heels.
we did.
Yeah.
And we used to wear big.
No, we were
You
like
did?
little.
You wore.
We wore
hoods.
hoods.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
And it was HEALS.
Yeah, so it was healing, but hoods is kind of creepy. I
Yeah,
don't know
it was
what we were
kinda
doing.
We were in a dark place.
We were.
We were
Yeah.
all in our breakups.
We were all in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we
okay.
were sad. And then all
So-
the women were coming and they were like, we were knitting in my restaurant at night. And then all of a sudden
Having
we started
tea.
singing. And then it turned into a band. And
We
we're
were
like,
not like
this
we.
is really
This was like
healing.
20-year-old women. We were like we were
yes.
like I don't know what we were doing. We were just like bringing girls
Community
together
together.
to just like do arts and crafts and
Yeah.
just talk, and we would sing, and we just like had
So we
nice
called
nights.
we called the band the Heels, HEALS.
It just
Okay.
evolved into
Okay.
a band. We
And then
didn't really-
Bobby came. Well, actually, before Bobby, we changed it to HEELS because it was
But
sexy.
I've always been a fan.
And then this is
High heels.
See this?
Here
She
I wear.
wears these. She
I would
comes
wear
out in
things
her-
like this at work.
That's
Walk
crazy.
into the
That
smoothie
Flying
shop.
shield.
I
Yeah.
knew it was Bobby coming in because I would literally hear click, click.
Yeah.
Bobby here, get her smoothie.
Yeah.
So, and it seemed like a sign. So I was like,
Yeah.
I've always loved high heels. I'll join that band.
Yeah, it was a perfect fit.
Ah.
There you go. Nice.
But what brought you to Nashville?
The singer songwriter thing, mostly songwriting. I'm like I said, I'm more in the pop world. I think like if I were to be a country singer, it would be like forcing it, kind of, you know, because I don't come from that background. But the pop stuff makes more sense. And then I just like writing pop country. So I was like, well, I can do it, and I can keep doing the pop stuff. And then I'm also in a rock band. They didn't come down with me, but
Yeah, yeah.
when I go back up north, we'll do some shows and gigs and whatnot. So
Very cool.
yeah, I'm just trying to wear a lot of hats. you
What's
know?
your creative process? We talked to them about their like kind of day to day. What are you doing just in terms of your day to day, in terms of making music, writing?
I make my bowls in the morning.
Yeah.
Do they have their own
No.
special name? They have like
Beauty bowl,
like
the
a Danny Bowl.
Danny Bowl.
Danny Bowl.
Danny Bowl.
Beefy bowl.
Beef
Beefy bowl.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
No, I don't. It's like I don't. I'm
wanna
like
come
all
over
over
for
the
that
place,
bowl.
and it's only been a couple months for me.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
just
you,
like.
you still
Yeah.
probably have boxes that are unpacked.
No,
Yeah.
I'm like the most organized person.
There we
Like,
go.
I-
All
I-
right,
I-
all right.
Up and
I had
in his
one
place.
day of a bed on the floor. The next day I had my frame up, and like
That's
I
impressive.
can't do like my car has
Nice.
nothing dirty in it. Like I don't.
Good.
It's
You weren't effing around.
I'm
You're
not
just
like the typical
Yeah.
guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Comment.
Like what happened?
I'm
Her
Her
was
look
like-
on her face,
I'm
she's like,
thinking, I'm
what
like
do you mean by
Sagittarius or Virgo?
Yeah, what do you
Virgo.
mean by dirty?
Virgo
Yeah.
was my first
Wow.
guess.
Wow.
Do you
But
believe
Sag-
all that stuff?
I
though?
do.
Like, really?
I'm actually yes,
I feel like
I do.
well, that's your
I did
that's
guess
your
Virgo,
sun
but
and your
you know what?
moon and your.
Virgos also they tend to like procrastinate a lot, so that's where I thought the Sag was coming out. But
Okay.
you're definitely a Virgo.
Wow.
My
I
best
procrastinate
friend.
with some things, but other things I'm like, if you can do it today, do it today. you
No,
know?
I feel it. You're very clean.
Doctor's
You're
appointments,
organized, you're
dentist
clean.
appointment. Yeah.
If you're super
That's right.
organized, do you have like your pencils lined up?
I'm
like
OCD.
This?
I'm OCD,
Oh,
so
there
I
you
feel
go.
like
Okay. Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
bad about that, but there's also some good where it forces you to, like, yeah, it's like I get up and I'm like, okay, I make my bed, and I like everything is where it should be. I can't leave like drawers open or anything. You know what I mean? And
You're set up for success, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have like a day-to-day routine necessarily. Like I have stuff like on my phone. I'm like, okay, I have a to-do list of like today, and then I've got a longer to-do list of like this year.
Good.
You know, and I'll update my whiteboard calendar and like I don't know. I just
Wow.
I have to
That's
because
impressive.
things will go in and out, and I
Yeah,
forget
yeah.
shit. You know what I mean?
Now, does this like OCD, like making sure you're organized, does that kind of carry over into your music? Is there like kind of a
Yes.
precision
That's
with
gonna
what
be
you're
the next
doing with your
question, like,
music?
how does that affect that?
It does. Okay, so it doesn't affect the music itself, but it affects how I store shit. So like all my voice memos on my phone, like whatever you want to call it, hookbook, whatever you guys call it, it's all organized based on like, okay, this is a pop country pitch, this is a rock pitch, this is for a female, this is for a male, whatever. And I have like 1,000 folders on my computer. Whereas like, okay, this could work for like a male rock group. This could work for a female rock group. This is female country, male country, whatever. And like, so I know that if I'm sending something to someone, like, I know exactly where it is. I know where to find it.
It sounds like if you got a lot of stuff on your phone with the voice notes and stuff, are they just kind of
I feel
ideas
that,
kind of constantly coming to you? Like they come to me all the time. Like I'm always like singing into my
You're in
phone
your
and
car, you
stuff.
have to like, oh, should I have a melody? Like, you know, it's like,
that.
I gotta go to the bathroom. It's the same thing. Like you have to pull out your phone because you're gonna forget.
Yeah.
You know?
How many files would you say you have? Like little audio files. I'm just kind of curious.
150 probably.
Oh
Like,
gosh, mine's even worse.
really?
There's
well,
like
I also
3,000
send
on
them
there.
to. I'll
I'm not
airdrop
kidding.
them all to myself. 3,000.
He's organized.
Well,
he
you
takes it
can-
off his phone.
Yeah,
See,
I
I
do
don't do
I
that
do that.
apparently.
I
Leave
do
the best
that.
stuff.
Space. I have to admit, I do
I
that.
take
Kind
up
of do
a
that
ton
as
of
well.
Me too.
I'll kind of do that as well because otherwise you'll just kind of go crazy. You'll have a bunch of
Oh, there's
ideas that
so
aren't even
much.
that good.
You gotta
So
get
what I'll
rid
do
of
is I'll
stuff,
just like I'll upload them to my Google Drive and then I'll just delete them off my phone. The ones that I don't, I'm like,
There
you
you
know,
go.
I'm probably never gonna do anything with this if I haven't done something with it
I
already.
haven't done that.
So
No,
it's
I
actually
need to
kind of
do
fun.
that.
It's really fun to
need
go.
to.
I find it's really fun to go through, like, go for walks and like just listen through all the ideas. Cause you're like, oh shit, I didn't realize I had this. I was in the grocery store and I was just kind of mumbling something to
Yeah.
myself, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty
Remind
good.
yourself.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being useful and a write the next day.
Some of the
That's
best
why
stuff.
we
Never know.
archive them.
Never know
That's
with that
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't know it's in there, then like it's not gonna be helpful. One thing that's kind of annoying sometimes is like having writers. Sometimes they'll like listen through like 20 or 30 things that are on their phone to try to find something.
Oh yeah, I know.
And,
I know.
It's like, oh, it's in here somewhere. I
Yeah.
know. It's like
See, you
sure,
gotta be
sure,
organized.
Yeah.
sure, it's in there.
Like,
Like
Yeah. Now, admittedly, I do go back through them periodically, like pretty regularly. And so what I'll do is I'll go find the gems, and then they get moved into the categories of to be for rights. You know, for these type of rights, like you're talking about. So even though they're sitting there, I do go back. I do a lot of reviews because I was like, man, I think I sang something interesting a couple months ago, and so I will pull those forward. So it's not that situation where I walk in the room like scrolling through all these things
hold
going,
on, hold
it was
on.
here.
Yesterday.
So I like to pregame a little bit before I walk into a room, but I will go back and be like, oh, I forgot about that. That actually, I think that has a thing. So you're right. You're right. You do have to be a little organized and kind of on top of things.
You could almost do a podcast on that.
Just organization.
How to be organized as a musician.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't normally come hand in hand.
And it's like as a
Creative.
person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking to like the, I guess the astrology of it, you know, do musicians tend to be like certain types?
No.
and,
They're
No?
all
No?
everything.
I
Yeah, it's
was
all.
curious about that because like, is
No, I
there
think
like are there signs that tend to be more disorganized and but super
Well,
creative? or something?
Scorpio, like I'm a Scorpio, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not like that. I wish I was, you know.
You can be.
I
But
know.
isn't it
See,
like
how?
left
I
brain
need
and right
podcast.
brain?
It's
Like
not hard.
sometimes
It's
people
not hard.
lean
It's
towards
effort.
their
Yeah,
left,
that's
like
true,
use
that's
their
true.
left brain more probably, and then right brain is more of the like.
I wish I knew.
Chaotic,
It's like,
crazy,
does astrology have all the
creative
answers? Does like science have all the answers? It's like
I think
hard
it's a
to know,
mix
right?
of everything.
Yeah.
I just can guess people's astrology sign. That's a hidden secret talent.
It might be
Does
good.
that come in
It might,
handy in the music industry?
It does. It's kind
Yeah.
of like Enneagrams. I don't know if anybody knows about Enneagrams, but I use that as well.
And what are those?
It's like a personality type to figure out.
Oh, that's right.
where
So they have the letters
Ooh.
that
It's numbers.
ENFJ
or numbers,
no,
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, like we're each a number, and I can feel if somebody, I can figure out whose Enneagram is in our band. And I can you go to a stress point, so you go to a number, and then that number has wings. It's very interesting. But I did that to hire my staff at my restaurants as well.
Interesting.
So all the leaders.
That's discriminatory.
No. It was
You're
a
not
number.
what?
It's a number. It's not discriminatory. It's just a
Never
number.
mind.
No.
I'm joking.
So the leaders are always number one.
Okay.
It's a leader number.
Yeah.
So and then their wing. You each have a wing, so you have like a peacemaker, and anyways.
Okay, so and people are obviously multifaceted.
Oh, for
So
sure.
no one's ever just going to be, I'm a 3,
No,
and
no.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
sort of
you're a
thing.
3 with a something wing, and then
3
I've
Like-
never heard of that one before. There was a different one that I took.
Myers-Briggs. There's that.
No, I've taken that one too, but there was even a different one. Oh, I can't even
What's
remember
the
what it's called. But
ENFJ
there's,
or whatever?
well,
Yeah,
I
one of
yeah,
those.
that's
yeah.
also
I
cool.
see that.
I'm an
That's
INFJ.
Myers-Briggs, right?
INFJ.
That's the
Are you
Myers-Briggs
an
thing.
INFJ?
I don't know.
That's Myers-Briggs?
That's how your
brain.
brain works. That was actually really interesting because I took that one a long time ago, and I was like an INFJ. And
Me too.
And
Yeah.
the thing that was interesting about that, it's like, and then there's like an introspective. It's like is the first letter, and it talks about like, I think it's based off of like how your brain actually works.
Yes.
And for the longest time in my life, I was the type of person that would just think everything through before I would say something,
Oh.
and that's totally a valid way to go about like putting your sentences together, like making your point, whatever it is. And then for some reason, it just kind of something in my life, I just kind of started being completely the opposite, and just started like talking off the top of my head, and I would get to the point where I'm like kind of talking problems out loud, and
Oh,
then I
yeah.
took it again like I think 5 years later, and it started with an E. So it was like your brain.
Interesting.
It's all based on like how your brain works and
Yeah.
how the relationship you have with the world with your brain.
Only 1% of the world is INFJ.
Oh well,
You said that's Myers-Briggs?
Myers-Briggs, yeah.
I think I've heard of this one.
Yeah. But anyways, Enneagram, look it up. It's very useful.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's the. I'm gonna
So
have
if
to
you're-
look this up because there was
If you're
another
ever staring
test I
at me,
took.
it's like she's anniogramming me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not paying attention. I'm looking over
That's
this way.
funny.
She's anniogramming me.
No, it's very useful. I highly recommend it, especially if you're meeting new people. You know exactly like who they are right away, but just by how they're communicating to you and how their body language is.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can read people,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I suppose like just your gut on people could be something, but it's probably also based on like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's probably science to it, or even like you can learn how to read people's faces and the
And
ways
and where
yeah,
your
body
feet
language and all that
point.
stuff.
Where your feet point is very important.
Now we're all getting
What
worried.
does
It's
that
like,
tell you?
I
Well,
just
if
shift
it's
mine because of my
if
hips.
it's if your legs are pointing towards somebody or your feet that you're interested in them.
Oh yeah,
Makes
makes
that.
sense.
We've
Makes
heard
sense.
that. So
We're not interested in it.
No one
any
gives a
interested. We're
Screw you
interested in
guys.
you two.
They want
See,
the
it's very accurate.
So with the you're saying that the OCD,
Mm.
since we're talking about personality stuff. So being in a band,
Yeah.
did you ever run into things? Because I have a very good reason, and I won't name names, but I have a story after this. So have you run into situations where you're on the stage and things have driven you crazy? Like somebody does something and your OCD kind of like kicks in a little bit. Have you had that, or is that compartmentalized? So that's like not even part of that. Like you control that or whatever.
I feel like on stage is a little different, but
Yeah.
like if I'm like the roommates I've had a lot of roommates in my life. I'm alone now, which is great. But like I've had a million roommates in different cities and everything. What it will bother me a lot, and this isn't music related,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
people are messy.
Okay.
Just because like I am so neat that if like people are leaving shit out, and like my music partner, God bless the guy, but he'll come home and be like, man, I forgot my phone. I'm like, where are my keys, dude? Have you seen my keys, my wallet? I'm like, bro, if you put them in the same place every time you come home, you will never lose them. I promise you. And he's like, sure. And then he smokes a bunch of weed or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, maybe there's a problem.
Maybe
but
that's why I don't
yeah.
remember.
But hey,
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, like people who are like leaving stuff
Okay.
out or
All
whatever, and that it's like, just put it away, man. Like have your set places for things, and then you won't lose things.
Yeah.
On stage, I'm kind of like doing my own thing. I don't.
Okay, that's
care what any of
interesting
those
because
guys are doing, but-
there was a band, I had been hired to play with them later in their career, but one of them has really bad OCD.
Okay.
So there was a time earlier where between the sets, if he would hear something that bothered him, like in the amp, he would start to change everybody's amps. He would go across the stage.
touching
And,
their
right,
amps?
touching their stuff,
Oh, no,
and like
you can't
changing
do
the
that.
amps to get them to
No.
sound like what worked in his head that drove him crazy as they went through the shows. And he really worked on it. Like he's come a long way.
Yeah.
But that's a very serious big example of somebody who like It's so bad
Yeah.
that it was literally driving him crazy during the show because he's like, that's not right. That distortion's not right, and stuff like that. And so he literally, and he almost got in fistfights with some of the other band members
Yeah.
because they're like, don't touch our stuff.
Yeah.
But he couldn't help it. It would kick in. So this
Yeah.
went on night after night. And they worked through it. Now he's not like that anymore because he finally came to terms with it. But I was just curious if you had anything like that because that's really severe. Like that is really
Yeah.
severe to be almost
sad.
fistfights on
You,
stage
you can't, you
between
can't
sets.
touch other people's gear.
Yeah, you
and
just
stuff
can't
like
do
that.
it. So he doesn't do that anymore, for what it's worth.
No.
But
I'll do things like, a lot of people will tell you who have OCD will be like, all right, I have to check my door handle, or whatever it is, make sure I locked it.
Yeah.
6 times before I'm leaving. Like,
Oh,
okay,
you
I
do
locked.
that?
I don't do that.
Oh, okay.
But like, I'll like kiss the ceiling going through a yellow light, or I'll do things that it's like I know it doesn't do it. Like, in the back of your head, you don't need to do that shit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of germophobic, so like.
I feel like you are similar here. You and Bobby are the same. She lifts
Like-
up her feet over railway tracks.
do you?
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Well, that's like superstitious,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
Like-
don't have to always do it, but I do always have to touch the exterior of the plane when I enter.
Yes.
an
I do that
airplane.
I kiss.
to
yeah,
say
I'm
prayer.
like,
What?
okay.
I've never heard of
That's
that.
one
I do it
thing
really
that I do.
discreetly.
Yeah, me too.
though,
I
so
just
I'm
have to
like,
touch it, and then I
Yeah.
say my
Okay,
prayer.
what
For
is
so you
it?
just like
Whenever
bless
you
it?
do
Is
that.
that kind of
Yeah,
the idea?
yeah.
Yes,
Just my
that's
hand
exactly
passed
what
down
it
on
is.
it when I
You
say my
bless the
prayer.
outside of the plane.
I
do
put
that
my
too.
phone
No,
on,
I just
on
have to do
3
it.
minutes.
I do
Like
that too.
the first 3 minutes I've heard are like the most dangerous of any flight or whatever, and so
Oh.
I have my phone right here and I'm counting that.
Yeah.
Like I put the thing.
I've got my
down.
eyes closed, deep breathing. Yeah.
Yeah.
When-
Oh,
when
I
take
didn't
off,
know
yeah.
that.
Maybe
Look
this
at
will
that new
help.
fear
like-
unlocked.
No, that's
just-
what I
First
feel
3
like
minutes.
I
is
heard-
most
I don't
okay
know
because you're
this.
closer to the ground. So
Yeah, me
that's
too.
fine.
I'm
Get
just
it
like-
over
Now I'm gonna
with.
whack the plane every time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you
no,
just
no, I'm
touch
gonna
I
the
just
outside.
don't
Relief.
pay any
It works,
attention
trust
until
me.
we're like 30,000 feet in the air. I'm just like,
Yeah.
You're one of those just
Yeah.
like passed out.
I just
before
try
it's
not to. I'm like,
man.
oh, it sucks.
Oh,
We're
no.
taking off. It's really
Oh,
fast, and
I
it's
can't
like
do
it's. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I don't know. I just kind of think of it.
Well, that's the
way.
best way to
Yeah.
look
But-
at it.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
is.
I can't do
Well, what are
anything.
you
I don't have
gonna
any
do?
control
So
over
go
it.
I just don't want to be
Yeah,
sick.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
can
definitely
sleep
no
on
Might
the
as
plane.
well just like chill.
But what does touching the plane do?
It's just I don't know. I just have to do it.
But so
Right.
you
But
both
you
do
both do
this,
it.
Yeah,
and
So
you
Yeah,
don't
touch the
know.
outside. Actually, we
You
all
don't
three
know
Well,
do.
I say a
Yeah.
prayer.
So
I
is
just
it-
have
is
to
it
put
like
my
a
hand on it when I'm
superstitious?
praying.
It's
Yeah, it's
like-
like putting protection around the
Yeah,
plane.
like, and I say a prayer.
I
I've
don't know
heard
where
that.
that
Some,
started.
Amazing, they do.
yeah, I heard that somewhere, so I
Neither.
started doing it, and so I just touched the outside.
I
of the
like
plane.
that.
I
I'm gonna
know.
try
Say a
that.
little prayer.
But
and
to
then
make
get on
sure
the
that the
plane.
pilot isn't like watching me while I do
Oh
it.
yeah.
Or something like that. What is he putting something on there? or
Yes.
something? It's like,
What did
Hey,
you
it's
do?
worked every time.
Yeah, yeah, we're still here, right? So we're still here.
Knock on wood.
by the way, I remembered it was human design.
Oh
was
yes.
the-
Oh, yeah, I
It's like a
remember
big thing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
and there's
I
love language.
did that whole. There's the. I never did that one, but I did the.
I
did
still
the
can't
human
I
figure
did
out
the
my
human
love
design.
language.
Human
too. That
design
was
thing is
interesting.
I see
interesting.
that all
Yeah.
the time too.
I can't figure
What's your
mine out.
love language?
I don't
Like,
know. I feel like it's all of them, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I-
receiving gifts. Like,
Oh.
Like, does anybody hate
You're the
any of them?
you-
Like,
Right.
they're-
I don't even know
Don't
what they
give
are.
me
What
gifts.
are
I
they?
don't want
I mean,
gifts.
other than doing nice things for one another and like going out of
There's
your way for.
service.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't want to be
Service.
touched.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Time,
Like,
acts
don't
of
touch me.
service,
Right.
Yeah, spending time, like you said,
Yeah.
and then gifts. There's 4, right?
Yeah.
What are
That's
they?
interesting.
What are
Giving
the different?
gifts.
Yeah, so
Receiving
giving gifts or receiving gifts, and then there's spending
Time.
quality time.
Yeah.
And then there's like physical touch. There's acts of service. Oh, and then I think there's words of affirmation.
Right,
I think
right,
there's
right.
5.
Yeah.
So, but generally, whatever your love language is, that's sort of how you interpret love. So they say if you're trying to work on a relationship with another person, sometimes you need to match that love language, or maybe you wouldn't feel like you're being loved
Yeah.
because, so it's
My-
just interesting to
My
learn.
parents are both service, and they are the perfect match. Like I can't think of them with anybody else because their language of love is service. So they equally respect each other. And can I bring you something? Oh no, honey, I'm okay. You know, it works.
Okay.
It works.
But I imagine you can employ more than one.
Oh, for sure.
Because I know I do with my wife.
Mhm.
We do the service thing. We take care of each other. I surprise her with gifts occasionally, even though I'm not in trouble.
Yeah.
And so
That was
because
my
You
next
probably have
question.
to have a
What'd
little
you
of
do?
all of it.
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
if she's happy, I'm happy. It's one of those
Yeah.
things. So we do it. That's interesting because all the things you described, we do here and there for one another. So I guess hey, we've been together for a while, so it's
Yeah.
working.
You have to have some of
But
it all.
but yeah, we try to make sure that we every day a little something every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to because a couple things just because to show our love, But also, life is short, so we never miss a day without kissing each other goodbye and telling each other we love each other before one of us goes out the door in the morning. And so we just feel that's really important. We both know life is precious, life is short. And so we want to make sure that we know that before we walk out the door every morning. So
You're making me tear up, Scott.
we do a lot of crying on this show. It's still early, so and laughing too.
I just think it's interesting. We're talking about love languages. We're talking about human design. We're talking about astrology.
OCD?
There's all these ways in
OCD,
which we're trying to understand what the heck this is, and it just reminds me of the fact that like when we and I think all of us here are writers, it's when we're sitting down and we're trying to write something, it's like we're trying to understand this. We're trying trying to put into words, into music, into poetry and into art, like an understanding of what the heck this is.
Totally.
And it's interesting. It's like it's just another lens through which we try to understand this.
Our human experience.
To relate to each other too.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discussion lately. For some reason, it's in the air about how we walk into a room, we don't know each other, and one of the things that we have to do, unlike a lot of other things we could have done in life, you just have to bare your soul like right off the bat to strangers in order to like create this powerful music that hopefully will connect with people that we perform for or to hear our music out there in the world. And so it's we put ourselves in an interesting position of vulnerability where and we just have to do it. At first it's uncomfortable when you first start writing and you think, I don't want to say that.
It's like a one-night stand. That's what I would say.
It's what?
It's a one-night stand. Do I want to go back for more?
I was gonna ask, just in terms of both of your acts and what you do, like, what are some of the common threads? What are some of the messages that you're getting across with your music and you're trying to get out into the world?
Well, we're called the Heels, so everything we write has to be healing in some way. Even if, like, we try not to write victim, like, bore me, I'm so sad over here. We try to stay away from that, and we try to really focus on empowering and inspiring.
Yeah, I think feeling like creating connection to other people, because I feel like that's really healing when people don't feel alone, because I feel like a lot of the sadness comes from loneliness. So like I think that's really important with the songwriting, is that you're like sharing things about yourself, and then other people connect and feel less alone, and they feel like comforted by your music or like heard or something.
That's the hope. We hope we get to the real by being honest with each other and being very real with one another. I believe that. I believe if we, of course, there's always the fun songs, the crazy, ridiculous songs that are just fun to entertain.
We wrote a really good one.
Okay, wonderful.
Glad you
like it.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
So, and some are just designed just to entertain people, so they can check out from their reality for a little bit, and that's a service too. But if we can get to the real, like you said, that's the connection. That's the real, to me, the real connection with people. That's going to be lifelong in some cases. That changes them in some way, and they'll listen to that song forever, or go back to it, and when they, I don't know, for whatever memory they want to have, or they're feeling a certain way. So that's the beauty of us really trying to go for something that's profound and real, and doing something for people. And we hope it does. We hope it connects and changes lives and affects lives out there in the world. So that's why I love writing. That's a lot of my drive. A lot of the times, I mean, yeah, we do write goofy songs. I threw a goofy song idea by you today, and I don't know that it flew very far because it was ridiculous. But I put it out there.
Every idea, though, is a good idea because you don't know where that's going to lead.
It could potentially lead
You
to
say
something.
it. I say really strange things.
Ideas float around. They float around until they land somewhere, and then sometimes they just go off into the ether, and somebody else does something with them. That's what I think, anyways. But
For sure.
like, Danny, I'd love to hear what you think of it in terms of like with your music, the messages you're trying to get out there into the world.
I think for like I really actually agree with Scott in terms of like, trying to create something that resonates with like the most people you can, and like, but I mean, you don't want to go like super universal. But you write from the heart. Sometimes you want to write something that's kind of more generic, so like more people can relate to it. And then sometimes you write something that's very specific to you in hopes that you have people who can really relate to it. A lot of the stuff I end up writing tends to be kind of that more fun side of stuff, and I think it comes from like being a kid of the 90s, and a lot of that 90s stuff was just like kind of goofy and kind of fun, and it was more of a reflection of those times. Whereas now, in the last, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, things have been a little darker, and you can hear it in like a lot of music. And so I'm like a lot of stuff. And so I would like to be on the more fun side of things, to kind of bring it back to like the better days, you know? And so it's like, hey, this is, like there is music that's more real and heavier and people can relate to, but this is maybe a bit of an escape from all the shit that's going on.
Lord knows we need some fun. We need
That's what
we
I'm
need
saying.
to turn our brains off. We need to be entertained, you know.
And you might
It's like-
forget about those songs, but like a lot of that stuff, you know, a lot of the songs in the 80s too were just fun songs.
Some of the best, some of our favorite songs are songs that are written to entertain and
Exactly.
and to not be too serious, and
Right.
and to reflect on the positive side. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, there's room for all of it. You need it. You know, for those of I don't tour anymore. I don't do full like length shows, but that was very important when we were out there to have it dynamically changing. So you take them on a ride.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get boring, but also it's just fun. More fun to have that dynamic. You have some slow songs, some mids, some ups, some funny songs, some serious songs to really give the listener an experience in a night. Because there are some acts out there, like I love the Civil Wars,
Oh, me too. Love
but I get to song 8 on one of their albums.
Oh.
I'm like, I can't do it anymore. It's like, I love them, but it's like, gosh, I got to go listen to some 80s
little
music or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
For
you know,
sure.
Some hair metal.
yeah, something,
Yes.
something, you know. So, but there are some that are great at that. But I never went to a Civil Wars concert. I'm sure it was amazing when they were together. But yeah, I agree. You got to break it up. You got to have some stuff that's out there. And I tend to lean toward positive anyway. If I can get away with it, and uplifting if I can get away with it in a song. I just prefer that. Makes me
People
feel
need
good,
that.
and I hope it makes people feel good too. So.
Right. You need that escape, you know?
Yeah.
I've got a little follow up. Heels, I'd love to hear from you. Like, I know this might be a tough question to answer, but is there any? Can you think of like a time where a song of yours really touched somebody in a meaningful way, and they expressed it to you?
We actually had, I just thought of one off the top of my head. Probably our most fun song and goofy and like out there kind of just funny song actually affected someone on a serious level so much that they wrote us this long message about it was Take the Trailer. Remember that long message that lady sent? What was it? She was like going to the courthouse and she blasted it, and she was getting her divorce done, but like a really like kind of carefree song that we wrote really like resonated on a serious level to her and helped her through something that she was going through. So that was really cool for us.
We
Like,
get
wow,
that. We get
our
that a
music-
lot, actually.
Yeah, but that was like the first big response we got.
Yeah.
In like such a big way, and we were like, wow, our music that is doing what we want it to do, even though we know it's just like fun and light.
Yeah.
Our like deeper meaning behind it is to like help people through these kinds of things. So it was working. It was really cool.
And we have a song called High Heels On that has helped a lot of people transition from abusive relationships.
Which I was going to ask what the theme was. Is that does that get into that topic?
It
like,
does.
It goes right at it?
Yeah, it's about standing up for yourself and actually walking away from an abusive relationship and having the courage to do that.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
that went like crazy on TikTok, and we just got messages, so many messages about how it actually inspired them to leave really bad relationships. So
Good.
yeah, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and then we learned about like through that song, we learned about this whole community. A lot of it was over in Europe. What was it called? Fearless Group or something, or Fear, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was all these women who were leaving like domestic violence situations that they were in, but it was during the pandemic where they were forced to be at home.
And it
So
got so
and it
bad.
got so bad, and it was called the silent pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Shadow pandemic.
Oh, the
Shadow
shadow pandemic. Thank you. Yeah, and that was like a big thing that we learned about through that song.
Yeah, I mean,
was the shadow.
I've
pandemic.
never heard of that before.
And that was horrible to hear about. Like that, and obvious, like of course that's happening. People being like can't go to the places that they were leaving to feel safe, and they had to be home. And so we learned about all that, and we connected with so many women over there in that whole community, and they were all making like music videos, like clips of themselves singing that song, and it was very cool.
Wow.
I think about the way that music can heal people and can help people, and had a couple of those types of things happen
Mm-hmm.
in the music that I've put out there. And when something like that happens, it's almost like, at least for me, does it matter if I get a number one? Does it matter
Exactly.
do this? It's like, I feel like in a way, if you're able to like change somebody's life in a meaningful way, it's like that's the bucket list item.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you look back on. I mean, sure, you could have a plaque on the wall or whatever, but like you're on your, you're getting old. You're sitting around thinking it's got to feel pretty good to know that you've done some things that have really helped people out. So that's amazing.
Yeah. So Danny, do you have something? Do you have a song that stood out like that? Do you have something or a moment someone came up to you? Or?
No, I don't think I can't think of anything that I sang, but we worked with a woman from Massachusetts who was actually doing like some kind of pop country stuff, and I think her dad passed away, and I wrote with her, and we wrote a song about her dad, like having like a front row view in heaven watching her, and when we recorded it in LA, she just like burst out in tears.
Oh man!
And I'm hoping that it kind of helped her,
Like
like
healing?
sort of
Oh, sure it
for
did.
sure.
Sure
yeah.
it did.
And I was like sitting there, like, like engineer there, she's in the booth, I'm in the back, and I'm like, should we take 5 or? And he's like, no, just keep it going, And she got a really good take, and so it was really like crazy for me to be a part of that.
That's great.
Yeah, and my take on it is, if you have changed a life or saved a life, that is the highest order of songwriting,
Yeah.
like by far. And like you said, John, I mean, it'd be nice to have all the accolades and the success and the number ones and all that stuff. But like you said, at the end, did you make a difference or didn't you? I think at the end that's really what's on your mind.
It's really what we
For people.
want to do, is we want to affect change in the world
Yeah.
through our art. Is really, and the
Yeah.
important things that we have to say. So, I mean, I think that's like you were saying, a very ultimate form
Yeah.
of,
It's the highest
of that
order. Yeah.
success manifesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting how people work, because Mick Jagger, who you're all familiar with, I was just reading an article about where he is in life, because he's closing in on 80, all those guys,
He is 80, yeah.
and so he's got a ton of kids from various situations. We'll leave it at that. And throughout life, but he had a picture with all these kids of different ages. Like his oldest one's like 53, and youngest one's like 12, and he's almost he's like upper 70s, and so. He's not giving any of his fortune to his kids. He wants them to make it on their own, but he's going to give it all to charity, because here he is at the end of his life, and they say, well, why are you doing that? He goes, I want to do something good for the world. This dude's been on stages his entire life, known by everybody all over the world practically, and he's moved us with his music and with the Rolling Stones, but at the end, that's what he's doing to make the world a better place. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to take all that money from music and give it back. And so that's his way, but I found that very fascinating, that this iconic rock star, bigger than life guy, that's how he wants to make a difference.
Wow.
After all the people he's been in front of with his music, it was very humbling. It shows you like the character of somebody, because you think he's like he's Mick Jagger, he's got to be blah blah blah, and yet that's it. That's what's important to him. And I was like, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That's his priority after all that.
My first thought would be that
All that
I want to
stuff.
see what that picture is. They're all like pissed off.
No,
I was
they're
thinking
super
that
happy.
too.
They're super
Not getting
happy.
a dime from
I
this.
think when he says that, there's probably going to be a little something left.
There's got to be a little.
Because there's 800 million sitting there. So about that, and
Give away
so,
700 million and then 100 million to
I think
your
his kids are going to be all
38
right.
kids.
Yeah, I think all those kids are going to be all right. But yeah, and so you're right. You're right. After all that, that's the one thing that's most important to him.
Yeah.
Is like helping people and making a difference that way. Not even music. He's using music as that means at the end of his life.
Well, it sounds like he's using money at the end of the life to.
He
to
is.
more than
Can't take it
anything.
with
But
you.
do you know
But
what I
the
mean?
music,
Like,
I would argue
generated.
his greater. I don't mean to be contrarian, but I would argue his bigger contribution was like all the music that he created over the years that really touched people.
That's
over
right,
the
in the
years.
trajectory. But I
think that's more of an impact than like giving some
Very
money
much so.
to
Yeah.
to who knows who
Yeah,
it is,
but from the
but it's an
music
interesting.
angle.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating
he got the
nonetheless.
Yeah,
Fascinating
because
nonetheless.
I would have, with Mick Jagger, I would have thought, my music did all the talking for me, or like, that's it, that's my contribution, that's all my point was. There's nothing that
He's
much
giving
more,
extra.
more profound than that. That is all.
It's just funny, a little bit of drama there, you know, with the estate and all that stuff. It's it's crazy.
Yeah. And so
Anytime money's involved, right?
See, I have no idea that all of this is happening because we're in our heels land so much.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Bubble.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear some music.
Yeah.
Now.
This is
Let's
like
crack out some
exciting.
guitars and
Okay.
hear some songs.
So we rock, paper, scissors. Who goes first?
Well, y'all are gonna do two, so you can
Yes,
do
you
one.
guys too.
All right.
You can start
Okay,
us
okay.
off
I'll
and
grab my
then
guitar.
bounce back and forth if that
Okay.
works.
Sure.
How's that
Yeah,
sound? Does that
that
sound
works.
good?
Yeah.
That sounds
Let's do
good.
that.
I'm gonna grab your guitar. Yeah. My guitar's just on the other.
I am gonna make sure that we don't have it cranked up too
room
loud.
for everybody's guitar.
Yeah, if we need to, I guess we might have to.
I can scoot back.
Yeah, we can figure something out.
We'll be on with the music
I
here in
can
just a
stand.
second.
Yep. Just give us a couple minutes here. We're gonna
Is this in
just
totally?
a minute to
you're
get
fine.
reset up a little
Right.
bit.
So let's get this over here.
Oh, you know what didn't bring is a capo.
Oh, a capo.
Yeah, is
Anybody
there
have an extra
I
capo?
think I have.
Or I
Yeah,
have
definitely.
one. Yeah.
You got
Oh,
one?
you got one.
Gabriel?
I got one right
There
here.
you go.
Thank you.
You just
Okay,
got
great.
it in your pocket.
Awesome.
Yeah. I come
Which
prepared.
one do we want to do first?
Because you never know.
All right. So getting the tuning
Well, it
ready.
should be still.
Turn this a little bit here.
Well, we could do Take the Trailer.
Yeah,
that was the one we were talking about that the woman
You
sent
wrote that
us.
with Troy,
We
right?
did,
Troy
yeah,
Castellano.
Troy
Yep.
Castellano
Yep.
and Anthony Fiddler, and that was the one that it was unexpected that it touched
Really?
someone in that way.
Yeah.
Just because, like you were saying, sometimes songs that are really fun, you can, with this new trend of it's kind of darker vulnerability and things, you can feel. Maybe not that your fun songs are less than, but I know when we play Writers Round, sometimes we get up and we feel so bubbly and fun,
Yeah.
and we think we should work on sad songs. We should work on things that are going to make everyone cry.
Yeah.
And so it was neat when the woman reached out and said that that was what she cranked.
The fun one.
Yeah,
Touch
she
it,
cranked it on her stereo so that she could go and complete her divorce and feel free. And the song is funny, and we feel like laughter is healing. But it's, I guess
Very true.
it's about not kind of conforming to what the world would say is the exact path to happiness, because there's so many different ways that people can find happiness. But I think that a lot of times in life we feel like if we check certain boxes that's what's going to make us happy. And so when we wrote this song, it's doing the opposite of that. It's, you keep the house, I'll take the trailer, I'm out. And it's just
That's
about
awesome.
following freedom. And so, yeah, we wrote this. We seem to write songs that talk about anything that's on wheels with Troy. We've written about a
so many
minivan.
songs.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very travel oriented
Yeah,
kind of
He's on the
guy.
road.
it's fun. So we had this idea. It kind of just came to us, and we were driving somewhere, and Kyla happened to be moving at the time, and we had either just moved or were
They
going
don't
to
move
move.
enough.
Yeah, and so we just kind of started toying with the idea of, what would you grab right away? What would be the things that you wanted to take with you? And then we took it down here to Nashville. At that time, we were still going back and forth. And yeah, we met
We made
Troy. This was the first song that we wrote with him.
Yeah.
And
And we made a really fun music video
yes,
for it.
yes.
With our
If
friends.
anyone's watching that likes to watch music videos and you want to check out one of ours, this one has won Director of the Year Award, Video of the Year Award, and it's really fun. Okay.
Yeah.
You gonna do it? Yeah. Okay.
Married young at 21, got the mortgage, a dog, and a dream. It's been years of tears, and I'm still here, waiting on what's supposed to be. My best life, that's a good wife. Where did it go wrong? In the driveway, calling my name. That silver lining all along. You keep the house, I'll take the trailer. Honey, I'm out, saying see you later. This domestic scene ain't from me. I'd rather get hitched to our old Airstream. You keep the house, I never like the neighbors. I'll take the trailer. trailer. I got my eye on the 65, grab the vinyls by using the wine. I leave the weight machine and your super-size screen where your lazy boy can recline.
Into your beer cans and the lava lamps.
And the Xbox you can't let go.
Hook the truck up before you wake up.
About time I hit the road. You keep the house, I'll take the trailer. Honey, I'm out, saying see you later. This domestic scene, it ain't for me. I'd rather get hitched to a roller stream. You keep the house, I never like the neighbors. I'll take the trailer. By the time the sun will rise, you'll realize I'm gone. Don't look for me, I'd rather be a gypsy on my own. You keep the house, honey, I'm out. See you later. You keep the house, I'll take the trailer. Honey, I'm out, saying see you later. This domestic scene, it ain't for me. I'd rather get hitched to a roller stream. You keep the house, I never like the neighbors. Yeah, you keep the house, I never like the neighbors. I'll take the trailer. I'll take the trailer. I'll take the trailer. I'll take the trailer. See you later. I'll take the trailer.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So fun.
Thank you.
What a fun song.
I told you they could sing.
I mean, I had no idea. That's crazy. That was great. That was great.
Thank you.
That awesome.
Yeah.
Told you they were great.
Yeah.
I was bragging on y'all earlier.
Thank
so
you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that song has done just it keeps surprising us. It
Yeah.
was released years later, added to iHeartRadio down here in the States.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
music video's done big things.
Yes.
So and thanks to Troy too, he's gotten it on the Country Network down here, the video. So
It's like our little song that could.
yeah.
Concept and
Thank you.
great harmonies. And,
Thank
yeah.
It's
Oh,
awesome
yeah.
that we can
Yeah,
do it in
sure.
this avenue too. We were just on this Wings of Pegasus. I don't know if you are familiar with his YouTube.
No, what is that?
He studies like that actual like singers can actually sing and it's not pre-recorded. So I really appreciate that you're doing this and showing people that it's possible to do this live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank
it's
you.
so
There was one,
awesome.
I have to admit, there was one time where your voices were just so
Did it peak?
amazing. It peaked. It might have fried it just a little
That
bit.
happens.
But I think
But
it's
that's
fine.
how you know it's
It's
real.
fine. No,
That's
no.
true, right?
I don't want
It's
to
as
try to
real as
bottle
it's
it. I don't want
gonna
to turn it
get.
down
It's
too
the
low or
human
nothing like.
experience.
Yeah.
This is, and we
You
wanted
sounded
it to be like this.
really good.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate
And
that.
this is part of what we wanted to do here was like hanging on the couch Friday
It's
night,
awesome.
friends just talking about everything and being ridiculous and
Yeah.
and we're talking about serious stuff and then playing some music
Yeah,
together.
so-
That's
so
the,
good.
the what John and I wanted to hopefully evoke, like create that sort of feel, that vibe on a Friday night.
Yeah, hey, that's true, man.
I
That's
think
true.
we're getting
That's
there,
what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do here,
Yeah.
everybody.
Speaking of
Tell
which,
your friends.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
yeah, join us. Come hang out with us in the on the couch here.
Yeah, on the
Living, you
couch.
know, as we'd love to have you. So please join us and
Yeah,
subscribe,
yeah.
please. But
Hit that
subscribe. Yeah, hit the
smash that
yeah,
button.
hit
Smash
the,
the
that's right. Hit the
subscribe.
subscribe. Hit the subscribe.
Yeah.
So do we need to move the microphone
Yeah.
for Danny? Like bring it over this way?
Oh yeah, yeah, probably a little bit. Let's see.
Make a quick adjustment, everybody.
I like
Danny,
that
you
you
wanna-
have sage and Palo Santo.
I
too.
know.
That's
Yeah,
very
good stuff,
that's very
right?
heels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Palo
Anything
Santo.
bad happens and we're like, me too.
Yeah.
So move it over like
I do want to be mindful. Like,
Yeah,
can
so-
I hear just a yeah? Can
Sing-
you sing too?
Sing a little bit.
I don't have to get that loud, but I can.
Yeah, if you want to just
that's
sing a little
probably-
bit, and we'll just
Let
make
her
sure
rip.
we got it just.
Oh yeah.
I think that's good. Yeah. I think you're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. It's gonna be like a little swung, so it's. All right. Yeah.
Hey,
there
got
you
it.
go.
Oh. Oh, fine.
Feel free to do whatever you want.
Oh, I felt the heat in Tucson, Arizona. I done been to London town and back again. You don't have to ask me twice, 'cause I done told you what I'm gonna do when I get cash to spend. I've seen Times Square from a bird's eye view, high, so high. Lived in Cali, left my problems on the beach. You can say what's on your mind and be like, why, oh why, but I never ever want to hear them preach. When I get dollars, it don't make sense. I'ma do a whole lot more than just pay rent. When I get money, you won't see me change now. You can put away your mouth is, but I'll be on the plane. I'll be on the plane. Oh, I've seen the women down in Mississippi. Drove to Nashville and I ate my weight in beef. Oh, I don't think anybody's gonna miss me when they find me all passed out on Bourbon Street. When I get dollars, it'll all make sense. And I'ma do a whole lot more than just pay rent. When I get money, you won't see me change now. You can put away your mouth is, but I'll be on the plane. I'll be on the plane. What's up, Scott? What you got? Oops.
There you go.
When I get dollars, it'll all make sense. And I'ma do a whole lot more than just pay rent. When I get money, you won't see me change. And you can put away your mouth is, but I'll be on the plane. When I get dollars, it'll all make sense. And I'ma do a whole lot more than just pay rent. When I get money, you won't see me change now. You can put away your mouth is, but I'll be on the plane. Yeah, and I'll be on the plane. Oh, yeah, I'll be on the plane. Yeah.
Fun.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Speaking of planes,
Planes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
and
love all the
Nashville and
clever,
Eden.
Traveling.
yeah, and
It-
like
it-
the
it all makes
scents
sense.
and the like. I just love all the different play on words in there too.
Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's
It
so clever.
it brought me back to Jack Johnson. Was he
Yeah,
an
or-
Okay.
There's a little bit of that. We
Someone
talked
else?
about that.
Oh.
He's just said he's an
Yeah,
influence on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beachy kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like
It's not
that
what I was
choice.
expecting when you said pop. That's
I
not-
mean, that one's a little like rockabilly
country.
Americana.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
got a like
Yeah.
that felt
No,
country
I
to
love
me.
I feel like you
Okay.
sang our
Yeah.
life story too.
Yeah.
Right now we just pay rent, but we're like one day.
One day.
One day,
Yeah, one day we
I'm-
won't rent a
this is what I'm
van
gonna do when
and
I have a
drive
bunch of money.
14 hours.
Yeah.
We'll be on a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flying
Bobby
over
calculated we live off of $7.13 every day for our food. See,
Eat.
she's that
Eat.
I
organized.
gotta live with you guys.
Seriously, how do you do
That's
that?
That's been way
efficient.
too much
Well,
money.
I know.
We try. We're
trying.
trying.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Yeah.
It's doable though. Trust us. We're doing it.
You
That was
have
awesome.
to you have to put
Thank you.
time in and
Yes.
be strategic.
You do.
Yeah.
And you got to cook at home, and you can't go
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
$7
that. That's a
would buy
big
a
thing.
lot of ramen.
Well, see, that's why we
Or
don't eat out.
rice or beans.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm
Oh,
sure you're eating
oatmeal.
better than that.
Yeah, the life of the musician.
It
Lettuce.
sounds like with beauty bowls, you're eating like really good.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
seriously.
Yes. Well, at home we used to grow all our own food, so that's one thing.
We're
When we
used to it.
come down here, we'd love to have a garden, and
Yeah,
we miss that.
You
That's
okay?
also what we will do when we have more dollars.
That's right.
Yes.
We're gonna buy
Yeah.
land.
We won't pay
share a whole
rent.
bunch
We'll
of-
Yeah.
pay for a house. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have chickens too?
Oh,
You get chickens as well?
I think it would be really fun.
They're legal in Nashville now.
Oh.
They used to be
Like
banned.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
we could
You
have a
gotta-
chicken
you
in
gotta
our
have a
town.
hen and a
Your
rooster
apartment?
if you live
Oh
within
my.
the city
Yeah,
limits.
I've heard of
I
that.
don't know.
That
I
would
don't know.
cut down on the $7.13.
I know, but
Wouldn't
then
be
we'd have
very
to
good for the
buy.
cleanliness.
Yeah.
You gotta have feed. There's all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Oh.
I
I
mean,
mean,
you
we
know,
could feed
taking
him the
care.
bean bin.
That's true.
The extra vegetable strap.
This is
Or her,
interesting.
not a him.
Not in
Yeah.
Canada.
I like it.
That's a
You're
rooster,
getting
right?
some of the planning,
Wow.
some of the planning, some of the groundwork for the chicken situation is
We do
happening
have some
right
extra space in the back that's not being used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to live in East Nashville, and people had they had their illegal chicken coops and stuff, and they were hiding. They had fences, and they were like,
Wow.
shh, shh, shh. You hear them?
Hide
You'd
your
hear
chickens.
them,
Yeah, you would hear
They're
them go
like,
crazy. Yeah, they would be, and like you could hear them like, shh,
That's
shh,
so
chickens,
funny.
shh, shh. They're like trying to keep
I
the
feel like
chickens quiet.
This is a song, like hide your chickens.
Yeah.
Let's hear
Right.
that song.
Keep that. Hold on
Hide
to
your
that.
chickens.
Hide your chickens. And then there's a big fight. Apparently, there like people showed up at like the city council meeting, and they were all like upset.
With their chickens?
I don't know if they brought chickens.
Mm,
They
I
should have.
I would have brought my chicken.
It's like, look at my chicken. Look
Yeah.
how sad my chicken is.
Look at how cute he is.
And making him feel guilty. But that they eventually passed it, so now you can have at least a hen and a rooster.
Wow.
So
Oh.
yes, for eggs.
Next time you come over, we might
Yeah, you
have
wouldn't
that.
want the rooster, or you would get more chickens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well,
get rid of them, I guess, like,
sell them. I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Then
don't know
you'd
if they
make them
thought
a
that
design
far.
project.
It's government. What do you want? They never think that far. You know, they're like not 10 steps ahead. We're just like the next step. You know.
Wow. Well, let's do another one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's
Alright.
Shall
close
we-
this show out
Yeah, heck
strong.
yeah.
Do we want to do?
We'll close this out
I don't know.
strong here.
Yeah, one more from the Heels. We
Or John
definitely
Wayne.
thank
Let's
you know
do John
Danny
Wayne.
J
We
and the
talked about it, but we
Heels for being
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
The
thank
hardest
you.
thing for
Yeah.
us is deciding
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
songs to do.
we don't
so
know.
Decide what to wear, decide what to sing.
Yeah. It's pretty much the date.
But,
Okay,
like,
well,
what kind of vibe?
we have Hush Money, which is sassy. We wrote it with Clint Wells, local guy here, and we got to sing this on the Opry stage. That was pretty
That's
magical.
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also have our latest album. The lead single off that, or the latest single, would be John Wayne, which is played all across North America as well. And
Do you have
We
any
have options.
singles? Do you have any new singles coming out?
We do.
That-
we do, but we didn't write it. So I don't know
Okay.
if this is like a writer's.
I don't know, John. New territory.
I
Play
don't
some
know.
music.
We don't have any rules with
We
it.
don't really have any roles.
It's also easier to sing when we're standing. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
let's do either John Wayne or Hush Money. What do you want to do?
You're playing the
I-
guitar, lead the way.
I don't know. Maybe
You pick.
Yeah, that's a very good
Literally.
question. What?
Yeah.
what
Money?
Literally.
I don't know. I don't
Hush
know.
Money sounds cool.
it does sound interesting. Yeah.
Should I use
Need a
you?
capo again?
Oh wait, no, I don't. If we do Hush Money,
Let's do Hush Money.
do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah.
That was our first thought.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Okay. Well, when we were invited to sing this at the Opry, we thought we were being scammed on the internet, but we
Really?
live in Nashville anyway.
It's a real
And
thing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
But there's an indie music awards here, the Josie Music Awards, and we were nominated. And so we said, "Can we sing?" And they said, "Yeah." And we got to sing at the Opry, and we won Country Group of the Year. So it was the most magical thing. But up until walking through the door, where that's because we've had that sign, the artist entrance, on our vision boards, on our phones
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
So we fully believed that it, you always feel, is this too good to be true? That sort of thought.
Yes, that is
so
true.
so we were, let's go see. And it wasn't.
Let's say yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. Or should we do John Wayne? Okay, I don't know.
Hush Money.
All right.
Okay.
It's sassy. It's a vibe.
Bring it
We're
on.
gonna-
Let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it.
New blood in town, down in New Orleans, they said, I got your number if you know what I mean. Come back, baby, on a Friday night. It might get messy if you play your cards right. If you need a little sugar, honey, I could pay your debts. He said, no good girl plays hard to get. Hush money, yeah, yeah.
Dirty Vegas in a smoky dive bar.
lips, baby, tell me please. I said, how much hush money you gonna need to zip those lips, baby, tell me please. I said, how much hush money you gonna need to zip those lips, baby, tell me please. Never met a man who didn't know what he needs. Said I'd take you to church, get you down on your knees. Mama taught me well not to get too close, but just enough to get you there. Adios. I'll be praying on your loving like a snake on a path. I'm a one-way ticket and you can't go back. Gotta keep you hush, 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 hush. Gotta keep you hush, 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 hush. I said, how much hush money you gonna need to zip those lips, baby? Tell me please. I said, how much hush money you gonna need to zip those lips, baby? Tell me please. I said, how much hush money you gonna need to zip those lips, baby? Tell me please. Ooh, ah,
The Heels
That was freaking awesome. The Heels.
And Danny J.
Thank you so much, Danny J, Scott Barris, John Clinebell. We'll see you next Friday. Tune in, share with your friends. Music City Writers Room.
That's
See you
right.
next time, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Bye.